Hey everybody, this is Retro Challenge Gamer, and we are back to the final video of my big 96 track tier ranking for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And this is the current lineup right now, so we'll see how much it changes and what will ultimately be my top 10 by the end of the next 8 tracks. So let's get right into it. We have one last cup to go on the main base game and one more on the DLC. So the first one is Mario Circuit on the Flower Cup. I did not do so well despite the simplicity of the track. So let's see how well I actually did. So any of the next 4 recordings on the base game Flower Cup, I believe I did about 2 years ago, all 4 of them. I don't think any of them I try to reattempt now that the booster pass has come out. So obviously I'm missing every single coin because I didn't know better on what the coins did. But yeah, this is a very simple figure 8 track. That's really all it is. You kind of go through a figure 8, I think, like twice. Once right side up and once upside down. And that's really the whole course. Like, visually, it's really good. It looks really nice as you're trying to see everything that's upside down on the other side of the track as you're either right side up or not. So I liked this concept of a track. So it took a figure 8 track and tried to make it interesting with the anti-grav. I think this is probably more of like a tech demo sort of track than anything else for the anti-grav feature. Because as a track itself, there isn't anything really special about it. Like, that's a cool view with Princess Peach's castle right there upside down as we're passing by it and we're going around it. That's a really neat aesthetic, and I like that sort of novelty factor here. But that's what this track has, is just novelty. There's no good layout. There's no good gimmicks, unless you count the piranha plants on the side and these little stacked Goombas as gimmicks, you know? I mean, there's really not much else there. So, if anything, this is sort of a brake turbo drift practice run, really. As a beginning course for the second cup in the base game, I'd say it's decent. It's just not an exceptionally fun track to go on. I mean, even these little trick jump board ramps aren't anything special to really liven up the overall experience of this course. This is still kind of a plain and boring course, despite the novelty of the anti-grav being half the level. You can't get around the fact that this is just a double figure 8. Yeah, so that's pretty much the whole track. Nothing incredibly special. So I think we all know where this is going to go, right? So it's kind of bad, and it's not in the fun way kind of bad. I honestly think I have more fun even on Mushroom Gorge. And you all know my issues with Mushroom Gorge. I just feel like there's more action and more things to do in Mushroom Gorge compared to this, where it's just like, just go straight, turn, go more straight, turn, rinse, repeat, whatever. Yeah. Let's not talk anymore about this track and move on to a more interesting one, shall we? Toad Harbor. Speaking of interesting ones, dang, I was so close. And this is from 2 years ago. I did not reattempt this one, nor will I. It's a rather hard one to get through, in my opinion. But that does not mean it is not fun. This is actually one of the funner tracks in the early part of the Grand Prix Cups. Like, I love the fact that you're in a portside town, and wow, that was terrible. And you have options. There's so many choices of routes you can take on this track. You can go the upper on top of these awnings here, or you can go below, which is what I'm doing, on the surface level streets of what looks like a market. Then you can go on the upper rampart of this road here, or you can go beneath. And then you have 2 little city streets that you can take here, which meet up here at this main road. And then you have an option of going along where the trolleys are, or going along the wall here with the anti-grav section and avoiding the trolleys and the train tracks altogether. Now that I'm a little bit better versed in how to properly do Mario Kart 8, I probably would not go in the anti-grav section. That's a little bit confusing. And then there's a small little route to the left there, which I'm not really sure if that's a shortcut. I know there's like a boost pad that leads you straight into the finish line, but I don't know how much time you're ultimately saving by doing that. Yeah, I could definitely probably get a better time if I really tried nowadays, but this is a very dynamic track. There's so much stuff going on each section of the track, and each section of the track seems to have multiple routes to get through. Like every section, there's at least 2 choices to go on. I eventually choose the anti-grav portion. I feel this is the less interesting one along the trails, trolleys, and trams here. I'd probably now go on the tracks and then go straight down the hill here. This is always fun. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the first level from Sonic Adventure 2, where he's skateboarding down the road there, going through the city. I think that was kind of neat. That's kind of what it reminds me of, that section right there. So good fond memories recalled. But yeah, the details and the buildings and everything. Like, this feels like a proper Mario Tour track without actually being a Mario Tour. This is through a fictional Mario City, but I feel like it just did it better. I feel like this is a much better version of what a tour track should be. Give you options, give you a lot of good gimmicks and things to keep your interest on every section of the track, and it's never a dull moment. And I like the speed of it, and there's many options to regain ground if you lose it. If you happen to get hit by a red shell, then, you know, a couple people pass you, there's several more chances and options to get past them and get that coveted first place. And that's probably, yeah, right there. That's probably why I missed the best time on this course, was that bastardized ending there. I don't know why I allowed it to happen. But anyway, we have Toad's Harbor. It's got to be best of the best. It's so much fun. And I think I have more fun in it than... Yeah, like Ribbon Road is great fun and everything, but it doesn't give me that sense of speed and everything that the Toad Harbor does. And I feel like Toad Harbor as a track has more interesting things going on at each section of the track compared to, say, Ribbon Road, where, you know, there's certain sections that run on a little bit too long. But overall, I think that's a good place to put Toad Harbor. Wild Woods beats it out by just a little bit, but I'd honestly say those two are kind of comparable. Anyway, apparently I got to redo the look yet again, so give me a moment here. How's that look? Is that better? Man, I think if I put anything more in the average, which I probably am going to be doing, I'm going to have to get another row and refix this again. This is getting nuts. Moving on to Twisted Mansion, which I did not do too good on, but I think I probably could get a better time if I tried once more. This track, y'all. Oh boy, this track. In terms of novelty and gimmicks and spectacle, this has it in spades. There's so much going on with this track. You got the dual split here with the wavy roads that you can do, or the floors. You have a little shortcut here through the bookcases on a hairpin turn. And then you go to like a weird face into a weird underwater area, anti-grav, which is an odd decision to have inside of a haunted house, but whatever. And then another split with anti-grav. So I feel like the center section, underwater, is probably the most lackluster part of this entire track. But you come out to the little inner garden courtyard, and you have a choice of the upper and lower courses. With, of course, the upper one being the tighter turn, so the faster one. Then you go through like the center garden area in front of the whole mansion, and then you repeat it all over again. So this first part is fantastic. I love the swaying tables and chairs there. That's really neat. Nice little bookcase, little library area. And then, other than the cool house or the cool mouth look there that goes and leads into the water section, this is where the track falls a little flat for me. I feel like there's just not much there to really go off of, and this runs a little long. This sort of long turn and stuff. And so I lose a little bit of interest here, but I do like the fact that there's a long section there that you can use to gain on some people, or use it to throw shells or, you know, attack people. And then, of course, you got those little stomping statues with the hammers and everything. That's kind of neat. But as a track overall, it's not one of my favorites, actually. It really isn't. It's definitely not best of the best. And I'm really debating on where I should put it, because this is a good section of the course. This is like about a third of the track. And it's like the least interesting part of it. And that's a problem when it comes to ranking it. Do I have fun on it? Well, it depends. Coming out of this can be a little bit weird, especially if you're going on the upper one where you have to brake drift insanely hard. You have to really hit that brake, as you saw me do there, just to make that turn. But will it get you a victory if you do that upper path? Heck yeah, it will. It'll at least get you a space or two more than whoever's currently leading the pack. So back to the rankings. We have got to put this... Oh my goodness. I don't really want to put this in the very good because it really isn't one of my tracks that I prefer playing. I don't mind playing on it. It's certainly fun. It's got a lot of gimmicks going for it. And I dare say it's probably up here with Warrior's Goldmine in terms of just the fun factor of an average track. I do like it less than Moonlight Highway. So really it's just down to, do I like it better than Warrior's Goldmine? And I feel like Warrior's Goldmine is a stronger track for me because there's just more thrill to it than the Haunted Mansions. So I think that's where it's got to be going forward. Yeah, is right there in the average section. There's no other place I would rather put it. So anyway, we're going to adjust the view one more time. It's getting complicated, everybody. So moving into the game once more, we'll see how much crazier that ranking list is going to get. But Shy Guy Falls. View against Ghost. Hey, dang, I beat it by a lot. Alright, let's talk about this fun track, okay? Because it is definitely fun, for sure. I don't know what it is about Shy Guy tracks. I feel like they just tend to be more fun than most other tracks. And this is no exception. I like the fact that you can see the falls right beyond at the start there of where you're ultimately going to be driving down later in the lap. So it starts off with some interesting turns. And then right before it gets boring in terms of keeping you occupied with new things to do each and every section of the track, boom, you're already on the waterfall. Heading up the waterfall with the boost pads. Then you make a big bridge turn and everything. And now you're going back down the other waterfall. Another glide boost path up there. And you can even see the track down there a little bit, I think. Yeah, there's the track that you just were on. For the record, I've never been able to make that top path, like, ever. I've tried. I don't know how people do it, but I just can't seem to get the glide boost off at the right angle and speed and height to make that upper path, so I can't really speak to that shortcut. But I am appreciative that it's there for those who are able to take it. So, as a final track for the Flower Cup, this is a difficult track. This is something that takes a lot of practice to get right because the turns are very, very hard, but they're very rewarding if you nail them very well. So in terms of gimmicks, I mean, come on, going up and down waterfalls is amazing. And then you got the boost pads to go up one of the waterfalls, and then you got the glide mechanic displayed here in full display, and then you even have a little shortcut at the end. And if you don't take the shortcut, then you have a very tight S-turn to try and navigate, which is extremely hard, and if you don't get it right, you're going to probably fall back a couple spaces against some of the better players out there. So yeah, this is a very beautiful, entertaining track with a lot of twisting, challenging turns, and not too many gimmicks to where you get annoyed or get frustrated with it. Like Grumble Volcano, another expertly designed track, but there was just a little bit too much on the difficulty gimmicks that added the frustration to it. This is, I feel like, the perfect amount. And I just noticed that nest with eggs on that ledge back there. Did you notice that? I've never seen that before. Probably because I don't pay attention while I'm racing to some of the small details. But I like the fact that they're singing and they're doing the little working songs in the mines. The Shy Guys yearn for the mines. So a lot of interesting and fantastic little details along the side there. So for this track, Shy Guy Falls, it's one of the best. And I dare say it's just as crazy, if not better, than the Wild Woods. I think it actually is better than Hyrule Circuit, honestly. It's much faster paced. It's more tightly compact, and the theming is fantastic, and I just love the little Shy Guys singing their little working song and everything, and it's just, yeah, it's definitely up there, highest tier of tracks that I wouldn't mind playing over and over again. Even if I fall back behind on the 200cc or high-level competitive play, I don't know, it's still fun to race on, and there's plenty of chances to gain ground again, either via the shortcuts or items and stuff like that. And there's other people who are just as bad at those hairpin turns as I am. So watching them fail gives me hope, because then that means if I do that turn very well, then there's a chance for me to just surge out ahead of them. So plenty of opportunities for fun gameplay in that particular track. So yeah, there is the base 48 tracks all ranked and done, which just leaves us with the Spiny Cup, starting with the final Mario Kart Tour track, which I didn't do terribly good. So I'm going to adjust the numbers in between. So we're done with the base courses, and this is the last tour track. Let's watch it. Now, Madrid is pretty. This is a very pretty track, Madrid, Spain. I don't know anything about any of these tourist locations we would be driving past, so I don't even know any of their names. I've never been to Spain. Maybe once when I was really young with my parents when we were out here, but yeah, I'm sure this is a market square with a nice wiggler in the middle and a bunch of people having lunch. I'm sure it's got a name, and then it's got this impressive, I guess this is a shopping mall? I'm not really sure what this is. And then it goes into I would imagine, a famous portrait gallery, a museum gallery with a piranha plant. I like that little piranha plant sticking out one of the paintings there. And that's the first lap. So it takes you around a lot of some heavy hitting, I'd imagine, tourist spots. And then we go on to what I would imagine is just roads now. Now we're going on to just plain roads around the place. I think that was a big important cathedral. This looks like some sort of bazaar or shopping center. That's important. I like that. I like that we're actually coming into the main market area yet again, but from a different angle, and now the wiggler's awake. So I like that it changes on subsequent tracks, or laps I should say. And I think this is an important park with fountain. This looks pretty touristy. And then if you actually were able to get enough glide, you could actually land in the grass and boost over it for a nice shortcut. But if you don't, then you're not going to be able to use the shortcut because there's a railing there that'll block you from using it. I do like that it actually takes you back around to the same starting point. So it's another circuitous design, which I really do love in these circuit tracks if they are designed very well like that. And now we're taking... I don't know where we're going. This looks a little bit plain. The third lap looks a little plain compared to the first two. The first two did a lot more with their taking us around the whole place. Oh, this one takes us through the stadium. A very famous soccer stadium. So, and you, hey, the little Goombas and the boots. I remember those from, they were introduced in Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES. That's really neat. And then back to the same central starting point. Yeah, very well designed Madrid course. So definitely one of the stronger tour courses. But the question is do I enjoy it more than like the three top ones here, as you can see? Do I enjoy it more than like Rome Avanti, Sydney Sprint, Bangkok Rush? I know Singapore Speedway is very cool, very fun, very fast. Well, I'd say this is like part of the trifecta here. I actually think I like it on par with Sydney Sprint. I think Rome Avanti is a stronger track overall, and I think Sydney Sprint has a little bit more dynamicism, and it's a little bit more faster paced and tighter track than Madrid Drive is, because the third lap kind of brings it down a little bit, where Sydney tries to keep it interesting throughout. But I do think it's stronger than Bangkok Rush. It's a tough choice between those four, but I think those four tour tracks are kind of all in a row, all very good, all very decent tracks, and they should belong together in that range. So we're going to keep that there. Rosalina's Ice World. 8 seconds. I did not do good on this one at all. And what was this? Our final 3DS port? So let's see how it does. How it goes. So from my understanding, this was a surprise to many people that this got ported over. They were expecting some other track or something to get ported over, like Toad's Factory or something. Which again, I've never played because... you know, Super Nintendo to here to Switch. Now this turn was pretty awful for me until I figured out how to do it. That's a very difficult way to start a track with that type of turn on ice where you need a lot of grip. Like, that is crazy that you expect people to do that. But I mean, this is the Spiny Cup. This is like literally the last cup of the DLC game. So you're expecting some of the harder tracks to be placed here. But dang, starting off the track like that is nuts. So for the most part, you'll be dealing with ice-based physics here. So let's talk about the track totally, because I think I've spent a lot of time on just that first initial turn, which is insane. Visually, it's beautiful. It's probably one of the more beautiful DLC courses here where they didn't have to bake the graphics. So once you get past this crazy turn, which I have seen some people just roaring through it, you know, just careening through this and taking these half pipes and everything, which I am not really good at because the camera angle sucks when you take these half pipes in Mario Kart 8. So if you have a chance of boosting off just enough to get on the upper path, which I think is faster, or if you fail that, you get on the underwater path, which is slower, but you have a couple extra chances of doing tricks. Then you do this nondescript ice cave, which is probably the lowest point of the course, and then you got a split. The left path probably is not the best path to take if you want to go fast. The right path has the more boost paths, but it's a little more dangerous because it's more of a tighter turn with no railing on the right side to the gap. So it's a, you know, you weigh the cost benefit of taking one route over the other. And that's pretty much the course. In terms of how fun it is, I agree, this is a fun course, but this is definitely not one of my favorites. I think it falls flat in terms of this little boost section and the half pipe and everything. And then the cave after this is just not as interesting. I feel like it's more of a transition section than it is anything like... I like tracks that make each part of themselves a little bit of a set piece to keep your interest. That ice cave does not. It's just trying to get you from one point to the next. And now you're back out onto the main portion where you take this last shortcut with Rosalina's home there, and you're at the finish line. This is probably the biggest and most prettiest part of the track, which is the beginning. The beginning and end. So where would I put that? Not very good. I think it's more of an average track for me, and I don't really have as much fun on it as some of these other ones. I would probably say I have more fun. Yeah, I think I have more fun on it than Daisy's Cruiser. Daisy's Cruiser is a little bit more of a plain track in terms of how it just loops around and around and around. And Waluigi's Pinball has a lot more going for it, despite the randomness that I told you I really do hate. I don't like the type of randomness. But I feel like Rosalina fits right smack dab in the middle there as being funner than a boring cruiser, but not as fun as dodging pinballs and things like that. So spectacle-wise, Waluigi has that in spades. So I think it fits right there towards the bottom end of the middle of the pack. Bowser's Castle 3. Ooh, I was shy of beating Polly there. So this is our last Super Nintendo conversion track, and I have to say this is actually one of the best. And I know a lot of people will agree with me on this, because I remember hating this track. All the Bowser's Castles, especially, except I think for the first one, for the Super Nintendo, were awful tracks to go on, because you didn't have drifting, you didn't have boosts, you didn't have all the amenities that you have here in Mario Kart 8 to make these sorts of tight 90-degree turns bearable and easy. So Bowser's Castle 3 was one of the hardest and worst ones. I think it was in the Special Cup, the Rainbow Cup or something like that in the Super Nintendo game. And so people, when they heard that there were Bowser's Castle 3, they're like, oh no, this is another Super Nintendo track. How bad are they going to make it? So you gotta understand, coming off of Super Nintendo, this was all flat. This was a completely flat course, and it starts off that way to begin with, but you have a couple of trick jumps, you know, to get into the first turn, and this is where it starts getting interesting. Now you're going up a ramp with a bunch of trick jumps as the whole thing splits, like it does in the original, and then you have an anti-grav section. As you go back down on a rampart, up another hill, and now it splits again like it was in the original, but now you have two separate set of pillar walls that you can go through, or even go on top of, if as you so choose, and then bang down some stairs to the final leap off to the end, where you can trick off these, yeah, as you just saw, trick off these thwomps. This is how you port a Super Nintendo track. This is how you do it. I mean, Donut Plains 3 kind of got it nice a little bit, but it didn't do too much with its overall track structure. This keeps the track structure of the original and adds so much more of Mario Kart 8 to it. This is by far the best rendition of a Super Nintendo track in the entire game. So if I had to rack and stack the Super Nintendo tracks, this goes at the very top, right above Donut Plains 3, which they kind of did a good job at porting, at least. So, oh my gosh, this has got to be one of the funnest tracks to go on. Absolutely. So where do I put it? Honestly, I enjoy it so much. It is best of the best. It really, really is. Now, where exactly would I put it? That's the question. I think it's funner than Toad Harbor. And I think it has a lot more going for it, just intensity-wise, than Shy Guy Falls. And you know what? No. I love... Don't get me wrong. Let me explain my position here. I love Yoshi's Island. It is a fantastically themed track all the way through. It has so many gimmicks and everything going for it. But me coming off of Super Nintendo and seeing what they did with Bowser's Castle, this is everything I wanted from a Bowser's Castle. It's not too crazy like the one we got from the base game, but it has just enough gimmicks and traps and turns and crazy antics to make it so much fun that I would not hesitate to play on this every single time it pops up in the selection screen. So it's got to be in the top 3 for me, as a simple course turned amazing with Mario Kart 8 gimmicks and an anti-grav and other features. So fantastic job by the devs for this last round of DLC stuff. And now we get to the Wii Rainbow Road, which I barely got a good time on. So let's see what the last track of the game gives us. Now, I know this is a favorite of a lot of people, and you've seen how I performed in my 200cc blind run. So I went back, played it on 50, played it on 100, played it on 150 to do this time trial, and I gotta say, this is a stronger Rainbow Road. But is it one of my favorite Rainbow Roads? No, not by a long shot. I'm still undecided how I'm going to rate it. So let's walk us through this course here. There's a lot of half piping that they added, which I don't think adds any value to this particular course. So the sections with the half pipes, I don't really see why they're there, because I've tried to use them in the way that I think they're intended to be used, and because of the wonky camera movement and things like that, it just shoots you off into a random direction that is not beneficial in the slightest. And I just don't ever find any fun using those half pipes. So to me, it's a non-issue, and it's a waste to put them there. So starting from the beginning, you go down kind of a boring road. I feel like they should have been more boost pads here than what we got. We should have gotten more to get a feeling of speed. And then you go into a tight turn, more boost pads, and then a half pipe. I think this is probably the only half pipe that makes sense. A little rolling wave you can trick off of. So far, nothing really special, but then you get into this weird circle 8 kind of thing where you can trick off the center or go straight through it if you got a mushroom. A nice little skip here if you know how to do it well. So far, there isn't anything crazy to keep and maintain your interest so far. You go up here, and then again, this little weird loop half pipe thing, which you can totally skip like I do and keep going. And then here's the split. I do like the fact they give you a choice here, but I don't think one route is better than the other, like faster or slower. And then a hard left turn with some more boosts. If you don't know what you're doing and you just take every boost you can, it's going to shoot you right off the edge very quickly on higher speeds. And then you just do all this 3 times over. So as a Rainbow Road, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a Rainbow Road. I wouldn't say it's a straight road, but there's not too much going for it. I think the biggest thing here is the wavy road here, and then this little figure 8 thing. I think this is probably the 2 biggest selling points of this particular track, because after that it's just like, okay, then you're just doing turns and hitting boosts and everything like you would on any other Rainbow Road that's in the game. So, and this half pipe thing. I'm sorry, 3 things that make this stand out compared to other Rainbow Roads. It's really not my favorite. It's a strong one, don't get me wrong. It's one of the stronger of Rainbow Roads for sure, but it's just definitely not one of my favorites, and I do not have a good time playing on it. So let's discuss the final track. Rainbow Road. I just said I don't have too much fun playing on it, and as a result, I feel like the Rainbow Road we got in the base game was more fun. So we're going to put it in the average, but I think it's on the high end of average. I do enjoy it more than the Twisted Mansion, and I think I enjoy Warriors Gold Mine less. Or more, actually. I enjoy it less than Warriors Gold Mine or any of the 3 up top here. So it's going to have to go smack dab at the upper end of average. I don't mind playing through it, so if it's selected, we'll play, we'll have fun, we'll have a good time. But overall, I don't think it's really that good. So there is my final rankings. I I know there's quite a lot of hot takes. I'm thinking this last track was definitely a hot take for sure for quite a few of you. But this is my personal opinion and what I find fun whenever I go to play Mario Kart 8. These are the tracks I'd rather prefer to play on from top to bottom. So let's get into the top 10. So give me one moment to change the view. Okay, and there is... I'll just include the top, the best of the best, and then of course the very good will play, and then everything else underneath, to me, doesn't matter at this point for the ranking. So the top 10, nothing was able to dethrone Big Blue, followed by Mount Wario, Bowser's Castle 3, Yoshi's Island, Shy Guy Falls, Hyrule Circuit, Wild Woods, Toad Harbor, Ribbon Road, and Ninja Hideaway. Those are my top 10 tracks that I would just love to play over and over again. Then, of course, everything underneath it is also good, too, for the best of the best. So, there you have it. There is my 96 track tier ranking for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe plus Booster Pass. I hope y'all enjoyed going through the 6-hour plus magnum opus tier ranking with me. And I'm pretty sure not many people will enjoy with a lot of these picks. So, until the next ranking or tier ranking, whatever I do, I hope to all see you in the next video, and stay retro.